let's just start by taking a deep breath and maybe even straight up a little bit, sit a little bit more straight up and roll your shoulders a few times and just let some fresh air come into your lungs because even the body has to become present because there is this body-mind connection. And when we're all up in our head, we get like thinking about a lot of things. Oh, okay, give me 1 second. And so we want to just make sure our body's here and therefore also our brain is like, oh, okay, I can relax. I can be in the present moment. And what happens when that happens in our body, our brain, and I want to show you this next time we go through that a little bit in detail, how the brain works and how the brain is set up. But we have a brain that is here to keep us safe. That means it activates fight or flight when we are stressed out. And stressed out is not even something that we actively may register as being stressed out, but just being engaged all day long and like going from here to there and answering questions and doing this. Like that is a signal of stress to our body. And therefore, we're in this fight or flight mode. And our prefrontal cortex, if we're in a fight or flight, our prefrontal cortex, where all our executive, our executive functions, our decision making, problem solving, creative thinking, strategic thinking, being creative in general, that is turned off. And so when we're like going from places to places and places and think a lot and are always going, we cannot actually think clearly. So we have to bring literally our body back into the present moment and calm down our nervous system and get out of fight and flight and more into that and reactivate that prefrontal cortex. And I keep going like this because that's where that part of the brain is. The fight or flight is more back here and because it's connected to the nervous system, our spine. And so when we take a breath, it's the easiest way to be like, okay, I am here and I'm activating all my executive functions. So I think that's a pretty cool thing to know and a superpower. And as leaders, probably one of the most important things to know because you get to choose that you're fully present and you're fully able to also take in what we're discussing here because I don't want to waste your 2 hours. I want to make sure we make the best of it, the best of it. So with that, take another deep breath. Let it go. And one more time, and maybe even close your eyes to just shut down, retrieve from what's happening out there, and connect to yourself. And if this feels uncomfortable, that's great. We're here to learn something new. So make your breaths a little longer and deeper, more fuller and more complete.
Do you listen to me? No.
We can hear you
Yes, yes.
loud and clear, Luca. You are here with us. Yes.
Hello,
See?
everybody.
Hello. So you might have missed all of that. So for you now, it's going to be extra important that you take a really deep breath because you have been stressed out because of your audio. At least your brain has been stressed out. All right. Shake it out. Move your body a little bit. Your shoulders, create some space. And again, if this feels uncomfortable, it's amazing. We can't do the same things over and over and over again and expect different results. That's literally the definition of insanity. So we're doing things here very differently. All right. Excellent. All right. So now I'd love for you to put in the chat something like a win for you, something that you're proud of, something that is going well. We want to prime the brain to see what's working, what is going well, because again, that same fight or flight, our brain is continuously looking for what's broken, what's missing, where do I need to take action? So let's start with the opposite. Put it in the chat. Put in a win, put something that you're proud of, something that's going well, something you want to celebrate or get acknowledged for. That's where we want to start today. New hire onboarding went well. Congratulations. Excellent. What else? Ryan, I've had positive feedback from a team member regarding the project that I've been running. Excellent. Congratulations, Ryan. Lorik actually taking charge of some of my manager duties during his leave. Well done. Congratulations. Rui, you're a magician. You're in the waiting room and yet you're here. Let's see what happens. Oh, your phone. You're in. Okay, I see. I see. Excellent. Okay, what else is going well? Put it in the chat. Almost on vacation and close to getting everything sorted out. Very good. And there is no right or wrong answer. Like, I don't care what you put in the chat. Like, you're not putting this in for me. This is for you. I'm back from holiday after 15 days of managing 4 kids. Oh my God. And I'm happy to report that everyone survived. Well done, Nicola. Very nice. Yes, it can totally be something personal, right? It's like we feel like we have this view of work. Um, it all counts. It all counts. What's a win? What do you want to celebrate? Or you want to get acknowledged for? Unity launch going well. Excellent. Congratulations, Israfil. Luca, I'm organizing a new installation on September with the team. Very good. Very good. Okay. Mikael, what's one thing that you're celebrating? Oh, yeah, and it's in the
Yeah.
chat. Perfect.
Yeah.
Bought our first flat and are repairing most parts of ourselves. Oh my God, that's amazing. Congratulations. And then Rui, I'm out of the office managing my son's food introduction, and my supervisors have been managing all the work super well. Good job. Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, my friends. So what we're doing today is we want to take a look at the leader expectations specifically. I want to make sure that we all have a shared understanding of what those are. And then specifically, we want to focus in on what brilliantly looks like versus consistently. We're not even looking at occasionally because you are all here because you're considered that you're really doing well and that you have great potential. And therefore, I really want to focus on the higher end of how those behaviors get rated. And we'll do some practical application with the homework that you all have done because it's a lot of what leadership is also about awareness. It's not about necessarily learning new things. I would even bet that maybe nothing that we're doing today is news to you and nothing is going to be earth-shattering. It's most about reminders and maybe gaining some new perspectives and looking at things a little differently and practicing. With that, I want to remind you, you are not here for me. You're here for yourself. So I quite frankly don't care how you spend this time. I do care because I'm a care person. And it's really an invitation that this is not a performance. This is not a performance for me, right? Like this is not a performance for yourself, but take this time to really be open and curious and lean in and also be like, actually, let me think about this. Let me think about this for a minute. Or am I really doing this as well as I think I do? Because uncovering a blind spot, that is huge. And that can get us much further faster than thinking, I'm already so good and this doesn't really apply to me. There's always something that is applying to us if we're willing to see it. So that's my invitation for today. Good. Does that sound good? Are we ready to go? Yeah. Okay. Heads are nodding. Excellent. Are you familiar with the content of this slide? Have you ever seen this slide before? Whether you've seen the slide or whether your manager has talked you through. Um, yes, no, yes. And it's all like, I don't see your names. So all of the surveys we do is anonymous. No. Okay. No. So three yes, six no's. I guess that's 100%. Okay. So 33%, three no's, three yeses, and six no's. Interesting. Okay, good. That's it. So these are all your values, right at the top. Inspire each other, innovate for impact, own the outcome, win with excellence. And then below are the leader expectations. And they're all in this occasionally column, what it looks like when we're doing it consistently, and what it looks like when we're doing it brilliantly. Now, you may have noticed that we gave the leader expectations, we gave them names as well. Alcon doesn't give them names, but I gave them some name for clarity. And I think what's interesting here to notice is that when we look at this first set, right, that's about setting expectations. It's ensuring team knows what good looks like, builds capabilities and confidence to deliver strong performance. So this is setting people up for success. And that's why we gave it a little name to remind it, to remember that that's what this is. So it's before you go into something, then provides timely and balanced coaching, delivers constructive feedback, supports team learning and in the flow of everyday work, or like, sorry, learning in the flow of work every day. That is about coaching and giving feedback. So this we called coaching in the moment. And then the last piece is holds team accountable for business results, reinforces standards, creates an environment where everyone owns results. Here, it's really about accountability and results. And here we call this accountability that sticks. And we are going to look at each of these in every, like today, we're going to look at this first part, really focusing on setting up for success. Next time, we're focusing more on like coaching in the moment. And then the last workshop is going to be about like accountability and ownership. Because there are just three bullets in those leader expectations, but there is so much here. There is so much. And so we want to make sure we really go into the details and get that clear understanding of what that means. Because we can read that, and I know for a fact everybody understands the words, what that means, but like what does that actually mean in reality for your role? And we want to make sure we have that shared expectation and that shared understanding of it all. So today, what I said, like we want to focus on those leader expectations. We want to focus on that first set, and we want to compare what does doing it consistently versus what does doing it brilliantly look like. As I said, comparing those two, actually, I haven't said that yet, so I don't. That's not the intro to this sentence, not as I said, because I haven't said it yet. But that first comparison is sets clear expectations, ensure teams know what good looks like. That's that first part of the sentence. That's what it looks like brilliant, consistently compared to brilliantly, ensures clarity of expectations and outcome, consistently versus brilliantly. And then the second piece of it is builds capabilities and confidence to deliver strong performance. That's what consistently is versus builds capabilities to empower teams and deliver exceptional results now and in the future. That's the difference between consistently and brilliantly. Let's see here. I what I'd want to do next with you is we're going into breakout rooms to identify what that specifically looks like, right? Because on paper, it's clear, but specifically in your roles, what does that actually mean? And you all are surrounded by leaders, and you're all surrounded by examples where this happens every day. But this is a matter of really raising that awareness and becoming more aware of what does that look like in the day to day. And therefore, we're going to learn from what's already happening around us, and we want to make sure we talk about that so that everybody has a clear understanding and a shared understanding of what brilliantly looks like. So there we go. Okay, yeah. I said that this I did say before. This is what we call like set people up for success in their day-to-day work. So here is a question for you. As you're thinking about real life examples, right? We want to look for real life examples, whether that is um, in our personal life, but it probably makes sense here to really think about your leaders. Like, what does setting up for success brilliantly, what does it look like when it's done brilliantly by leaders? And again, this is the definition. And you want to think about it. What does it look like when somebody does it consistently? But what we want to hone in is like, what does it look like when somebody does it brilliantly? So here again are the two definitions or the comparisons from consistently to brilliantly. Sets clear expectations, ensures teams know what good looks like versus ensures clarity of expectations and outcomes. And then the second piece is builds capabilities and confidence to deliver strong performance now, and then builds capabilities to empower teams and deliver exceptional results now and in the future. Can you picture for yourself the difference between those two things? Or do we need to gain some more clarity on that?
Honestly, as a native English speaker, they're the same thing with different words to me.
Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Anybody else, as you're looking at this, is it clear for you, or do you feel similar to Ryan that this is actually the same but usually using different words?
As for me, this is not fully the same. First part is more about doing something yourself, and the second part, when talking about brilliantly, is working with your team to help them do everything. Maybe
Hmm.
I'm wrong. This is not fully clear for me, but my thoughts.
Excellent. Okay. How else are you interpreting this?
Yeah, I think, the first one, I think it's very important in terms of setting clear expectation, not only us for the teams, but our managers to ourselves, right? So we have the bigger picture of what is relevant for yearly basis or quarter basis or weekly basis if we are talking about a short-term goal. However, on the second one, I understand what Ryan means, but I think it's more regarding we give the necessary tools to the team, right, so that they can do whatever they need to do, so we can achieve our individual and group goals uh, with more autonomy, I would say, right, and of course having the necessary. Organization prepared in case that they don't know exactly what to do, that we have the necessary resources and necessary infrastructure, so where to go and who should be, like, I don't know, the experts to that person goes and understands how can we overcome an obstacle or a challenge or whatever it be. That's my understanding.
Exactly. Exactly. Anybody else? Does that make sense? So setting clear expectation and ensures team knows what good looks like is I tell you, I expect this from you, and here is a clear measurement for how you know that you've achieved it. That is doing it consistently, but then brilliantly ensures clarity of expectation and outcomes is really to make sure that people are enabled, that they can do it on their own, and they know exactly what they're after. And outcomes are also bigger and like are the bigger picture also than just specific like metrics and know I've done the job in the context of expectations. And the second piece is really about more somebody is enabled to do their job well and they can deliver a strong performance so they can do it well one time and builds capabilities and empowers teams to deliver exceptional results now and in the future is also that they can do it again and repeat it on their own without having to come back to you and be like, tell me again, what do I need to do? So it's not just doing it one time because you've told them how to do it, but they can do it on their own repeatedly in the future as well. So that is really the difference. And I agree specifically the first piece, it does sound a little bit more like saying the same thing with different words. So it's a very fine line. As we're looking, the next piece is going to be, we're going to look for examples of leaders who do that really well. And yes, I have the option here as look for an example in your personal life in general, but it does make sense to really be specific about leaders who do this. And by this, I mean these two explanations of what brilliantly look like. What are their specific behaviors? What are their attitudes? What are the words that they're using? But also like what are the specific tactics that they use? Like how do they do that? How do the leaders in your environment, people who do this really well, who embody brilliantly, right? Who really ensure that there's clarity of expectations and outcomes and who build capabilities to empower teams and deliver exceptional results now and repeatedly in the future. How do they do it? What do they do? I want to make sure that we gather examples of that so that we have a clearer definition and a more practical and tactical explanation than how it is written out in the leader's expectation. Because this is very conceptual and very high level, but we want to bring it down and like we want to really make it more specific and clearer what that looks like in the day-to-day. Is the ask clear of like what type of examples that we're looking for, or even that like what the outcome of the task is? So I'm going to give you some time that you can think about that. I'm going to put on some music for you to just have a little bit of time to reflect. And then we are going into breakout rooms to share the examples and gather the examples so that as a group we can have it on paper. What does this specifically look like in the real world as leaders do this brilliantly, how they're ensuring clarity of expectations and outcomes, and how they're building capabilities to empower their teams to deliver exceptional results now and in the future. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Weren't those the 15 fastest minutes in your life? Doesn't it go like by like this? You're like, wait,
They
we've
really
been here
were.
5 minutes. What did you say, Ryan?
I said, yeah, they really were.
Right? It's like you think of 15 minutes in a breakout, that's so much time. It's really not. It goes
No.
very, very, very fast. Okay. How were your discussions?
Super good.
Instructive.
Instructive? Okay. So I'm going to put the whole Padlet in the chat here. so that we can all look at it at the same time. So take a moment to read through it, and I'd love to hear what you, let's just start by hearing what you notice.
Definitely some themes across all three groups.
Mm-hmm. Some themes. Yep. Yeah, we have inspiring confidence, right? Confidence, yeah. Accountability, clarity, transparency. As you're like when we, and now I'm sharing the Padlet, but I want to go back to, let me go back to this slide here. When we look at ensures clarity of expectations and outcomes and builds capability to empower teams and deliver exceptional results now and in the future. We want to find more specificity around that. So the one group like was very detailed in the examples that they shared. And that's and that's really where I was going towards, that we want to make sure we don't stay at the abstract, because we already have ensures clarity. That is already abstract. That's already on what we have, right? We need to translate that abstract term of ensures clarity and expectations and outcomes. Like, how the heck do we do that? That's where the rubber hits. Like that's where it gets difficult, right? Because it's not difficult to say, I ensure clarity of expectations and outcomes. We all know that. Cognitively, we all know what that means. But then specifically in our roles on the day to day, like what does that specifically look like? So that's where we want to get to.
I
Same
think
thing,
that's where
like,
some of us touched on feedback, giving honest feedback, and creating safe spaces for conflict and things like that. And so, I think, yeah, I see what you mean, though.
yeah. And I'm not saying like, right, it's we want to make sure we all have that shared understanding, like, and that's why like what group the third group did, like with giving those specific examples, that's where we want to get to, because that's what ultimately like what leadership is about, is like, how can I specifically help somebody, not in those abstract terms, because that's what we all struggle with, because who the hell knows what what even like accountability, it's such a big word but what does that mean? What does that mean on the in the daily in the day to day? So maybe I would love to hear some like what were some of the examples that you shared with one another where you felt like, yes, I really see a leader doing that well. What were some of those examples?
So one of the examples that we used for group three, for these three first posts that we published, was
Mhm.
for when a manager or a team leader noticed that the project deadline is being missed because team members were hesitant to raise risks earlier, right? So that's why we discussed about some behaviors like creating a safe environment. I'd rather hear about the problem earlier than a surprise later, so that that the team is aware and confident that can come to the team or to the manager, expressing the risk that she's or he is facing, and if that's something that someone else have already had, and be more confident. Something for the manager itself is share my own mistakes openly to create vulnerability, and to also, I think that shows to the team that it's okay to have mistakes because we are humans, we are not robots yet. So when we have this kind of safe environment, I think people are more willing to take more risks, and I think we can achieve more as a team and as a company when we, of course, we are talking about controlled risks, right? Not doing something real stupid. But I think that's the message and the behavior that we were discussing on this example.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. What were some of I'm also curious, group 1 and 2, what were your examples that you used before you went into the specific words? Like, what are you seeing leaders do? How do they do it specifically?
So I have a very good relationship with the leaders around me, whether they be in technical service and sales. It's almost, I don't want to use the term open door policy, but it's we're pretty much, doesn't matter what level you're at, we're free to have a conversation with each other. We give each other feedback. I mean, there's a Salesforce, there was a Salesforce restructure in the UK. I personally don't think it's working, and I told the sales director that. He thanked me for my feedback, but then explained another version of it and why I might not have seen it for, be seeing the full picture. Because from my perspective, I see equipment mainly. I don't look at all the consumables and the IOLs and everything. And it was interesting, but we were able to have that safe kind of conversation. He took my feedback on board. I, understood things from his perspective a little bit more. Even our own field service manager in the UK, him and I argue regularly, but like argue in a professional sense, but we've got that safe space where we can do that. He doesn't hold anything against me. I don't hold anything against him. And, give it a few hours and we'll realize one of us is wrong, normally me. All will be forgiven and we learn from it, right? It's but we've got that safe space whereby we can have those conversations.
So Ryan, one thing that you actually said, and I don't think you realize you said it, but there was a piece of gold in there, what you shared. And this makes it very clear of how you ensure clarity of outcomes and expectations. You said he gave me he gave me more context. He shared his perspective. So showing the bigger pictures, how certain things fit together, that is how you ensure clarity of outcomes and expectations, because now you get to see, oh, now I fit what he's asked, or like something is happening, or somebody tells me I need to do this, or I'm telling to do somebody to do that. If I get, as a leader, if I set the bigger picture, if I give more clarity around everything that's happening, now I enable you to make good decisions or understand something in the larger context. It's not just, oh, this one thing. I can say, go do this and do it, and you are able to do a good job, and you know exactly what good looks like in this one piece, or even understand the Salesforce restructuring. Like, you cannot understand it from a limited perspective, but as soon as you see the bigger picture and you start understanding, now you're like, oh, I can see, and I can make better decisions with the full knowledge. So do you guys see how that is a specific example of like giving a broader context or giving a bigger picture that now allows people around you to make bigger decisions or take action on something that allows them to do it better and more consistently or even brilliantly, because now they understand the bigger context. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can we say that just invite to team to see big picture for the understand
Yeah, exactly. Right? That's the difference between setting up for somebody set somebody up for success one time and understanding this one time how I do it and what good likes like versus I'm giving a broader picture. I am sharing more the ultimate goal of something, why we're doing something or how we're doing it, and now I can invite more like, oh, now people can act differently because they have a bigger picture in mind. So let me add that as a shared piece. now that we have that example, what else could be something specific that leader do well to set you up for success brilliantly, like in the longer term? What are some other examples? And we can talk about the examples in general, and then we can find the nuggets together. What are some examples of like, just like Ryan, what's an example of a good leader around you, how they're in general navigating setting expectations and outcomes, and how do they build capabilities with you? Like, what are some examples? Well, let's find the nuggets together.
Well, Barbara, I think I can say one thing. Several years ago, when we service engineers started to sell service contracts, um, we are usual engineers. We are not used to selling anything, but our team manager, technical service manager here in our country, asked our trainee to give us several lessons of how to talk with bosses of clinics, how to be on their way, how to how to work together. Because we usually, as engineers, we work with engineers, and as technical specialists, we speak in a bit our own language. But speaking with businessmen is a bit different.
Mhm.
And so we had several lessons which I suppose really helped us. So this is one thing is tell you engineers have to sell contracts now, and a different thing is you should sell contracts now, but this is how you can work. This is what will help you to do this.
Mhm.
This is a bit more about tools that help you work.
Yeah. So it's not giving you the solution, but it is, here is how you can do it repeatedly and on your own and apply to different things,
Yes.
not just one off. Yeah, absolutely. So this is here provide suitable tools to be able to proceed independently towards teams' objectives. So that we already have covered. So I'm going to give that a thumbs up. Also, can I
Yes.
drag it? I cannot drag it over there. Okay.
So for me, is empower the team. Uh, no, give the team the necessary tools to do the better work. It's empower the team. In other words,
Mm-hmm.
we put empower the team with more or less the same meaning. Give all the information, all the tools to our colleagues can improve, can evolve, and make the team better as well as a result.
Yep. So can you be a little bit more specific, Joao? Because empower is one of these words. Sounds so nice.
Yeah. When we give to the team all the information about a specific situation, and not only the expected outcomes, like Ryan said, when we give the bigger picture,
Mhm.
for uh, for my perspective, we have empowered the team,
Yeah.
make the clear thinking, and after all, the result I expect a better result this way.
Yeah. So I liked what you said about the clear thinking. What I'm hearing by empowering people, what you really mean, or like what it really means is that you give them enough information, like the bigger picture again, but like you specifically invite them to think clearly and think for themselves again in the bigger context so that they can always think again clearly on their own. And now they can use this a different situation and think clearly again. So that's what I'm hearing. That's how you're empowering people to think for themselves in different contexts.
Yeah.
And I
Okay, I
heard you
can
about the tools
also,
and everything else. I'm trying to add what we don't have it. Daniel, please go ahead.
yeah, sorry. I will share something. I think this is more about other leaders, but I will share something I've done because I'm now in a new role as a leader. And with my HR business partner, we did something that was called New Leadership Assimilation, which was
Mhm.
like a workshop which I did with my team, and we clearly everyone had some time, and there was some homework before, like what they do expect of me and what I expect of them. And then we did this workshop, which was led by the HR business partner. And we went through all my expectations, the expectations, and we had some sort of discussion. So in this session, I explained them that I want them to be more on their own, that they can make decisions on their own. So I have a clear communication what I think they can do. So they have a clear knowledge or mind what I agree and where's the boundary basically. So yeah.
Mm. Tell me more about the boundary.
So okay, so the boundary was more like if they think I would do the same, then they can basically do the same. Yeah. And if they don't want to, like, if they don't want to make a decision, if they are not feeling safe doing this decision and want me to make the decision, they can come to me. But I encourage them to do more decisions on their own based on what would I do and then do the same. So sometimes there isn't even anything else we can do, and there's a customer that is down and needs a repair and whatever, and maybe I'm not available or whatever. I encourage them to do this on their own, to make the decision on their own. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is it's almost you're providing the almost like a decision matrix here, or we discuss like we come to an agreement, like what are the decisions you can make on your own based on what we've agreed upon, because
Yeah.
there is clarity what they can decide on, what they cannot, and if they're not comfortable making the decision, then you can discuss that again, and then that goes into the bucket, and now this is a decision you can make on your own moving forward.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
What would Daniel do?
What would
What
Daniel
would
do?
Daniel do?
What would Daniel do?
Something you all should ask yourselves sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, clear boundaries and understanding of decisions. Okay. Okay. Anything else?
I think something that we do quite well in the UK, and I've been very fortunate in my career to have experienced it, is empowerment comes from like confidence as well as competence and understanding of various different things. And the only way you gain confidence and competence in other areas is to gain experiences and have growth opportunities and the opportunity to contribute to things. Um, and the example that I'm thinking of in particular is, I was given calibrated equipment to manage for the UK and Ireland, and nobody likes that task. It's a terrible, terrible task to have to manage, but you get exposed to so many other things, onboarding, third-party suppliers, working with quality, getting involved in audits, having to work in audits as the subject matter expert. And it's exposed me to other areas of the business, again, not necessarily ones I want to be involved in, but um, uh, but you gain a broader understanding of how the business is looked at, especially from a technical service perspective. We can't do that. Why? Because that'll get picked up in an audit, and we'll get questioned on that, et cetera, et cetera. and that all just sort of builds your understanding of the business. And the more you understand it, the more empowered you are to make decisions.
Excellent. So yes, again, in a similar, like, it's not just about understanding the bigger picture for a particular thing, but in general, understanding better how the business works and why things are important and why it matters to really enable people to make better decisions again,
Yes.
or act within that. Excellent. Okay,
Yes.
so
For me, it's the same. Giving the autonomy, but stay support, and not imposing the solution, but defending the point of view. Maybe it's
yeah.
my opinion for good leading.
So again, teaching people to think from themselves and bring in their own perspective and their point of view to hone that skill of being able to make good decisions within the
Yes.
right context. Okay, good. All right. Is this conversation helpful in thinking or understanding what the expectations are for leaders and how to do it brilliantly, like what that really looks like?
Again, sorry, Barbara. What was the question?
The question was if this is helpful, like this having this conversation. Do you feel like when we started out looking at that, it's like, okay, the difference between setting somebody up for success, right? That leader expectation, like setting clear expectations and setting clear outcomes. As we're discussing this, does it make sense how to do that in practice, rather than staying at the level of communicating clearly, being transparent, right? Which is very abstract, but really, like, what does that specifically look like? Is this helpful to discuss it in more detail like this?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's super important.
It certainly made me think, from the original, like you said, the abstract idea of, setting expectations. It's not a case of sitting your team down and going, I expect A, B, and C. It's a case of, well, how can I develop them to understand better what your expectations are, rather than just listing them off and being very military about it. Yeah.
It's like inclusion, because sometimes we or other leaders can kind of assume that we know, or that the team knows already, and like say, okay, we'll do that, instead of teaching, coaching, and then a good delegation, right, and inclusion or certain meetings because I think there are certain levels on this behavior. Like, first, I think we need to create awareness, teaching, coaching, and then the team member or ourselves or someone else will be ready to assume certain tasks, right? Because they had good leaders, right, showing all the path until they are fully autonomous, or at least some portion of autonomy to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly. Lorik or Luca or Israfil, what are you thinking in all this discussion?
I'm realizing that these are things we experience in our daily work. So, and I'm just starting to connect them with with learning in the program. So yeah, we just experience every day, I think, for this question. Yeah.
Luca, Lorik, one of you.
I'm sorry, I was on mute.
You're good. Yeah, no, all good.
For me, yes, I am speaking myself. It's very interesting. I started now, and I don't have a lot of experience and the example. And what I catch of from this section is the communication is very important to give a team the big picture, not for what we do, but where the company are going, the way to give to done our job
Mm-hmm.
for all the team. So more information clearly we give to the team, and more they what I think more they can do themselves without calling you. And another important aspect is the tool. How mm, the team can find the good tool to make their jobs.
Yeah.
This is, I think, it's very important.
Yeah. I love what you just said about how the team can find the right tools. It's not just about you giving them the tools, but help them understand how they can identify what the best tool for the job is. Because again, that's a durable skill to be able to make that decision, find what is the right tool, not just use this tool. I empower you to use the tool, but I empower you to think which is the best tool. That is
Yeah.
the difference. Absolutely. And that's exactly, those are the difference between doing something consistently versus brilliantly. Doing it consistently, like, go do this. I expect you to do this. You know clearly what you need to do, versus brilliantly is like, here is the context, here is the overall picture. Decide what is the best thing to do in this context. Decide what is the best tool to use this so that you're building the skills of that critical thinking and decision making and and thinking critically. Like that is really important, right? Excellent. Lorik, yeah, you're still here. Good. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, what I had in mind, we already discussed it about, so difficult to bring something more.
You don't have to bring anything more, but what are you really, what's resonating with you? What are you learning from this conversation?
Having a bigger picture, so the colleagues can be aware what the context is, can have also his own perspective, and is I think it's great to not to only to tell what to do, but explain what's the situation, what's maybe also your insights, what you see, and share both ideas. And I mean, it's always good to have different perspectives. So I would encourage this this I mean idea to having to share and discuss about the situation, having a bigger picture.
Yes. You did add something new. Maybe you didn't even notice, but you said very specifically you're asking and inviting people to share their perspectives and ideas, right? So it's not just one way you giving, but really making that specific ask. I'm like, well, tell me how you see it. And that is a way of really ensuring clarity because you're asking them back. You're not just telling them, but you're actually asking them back and say, well, tell me how you understand it. So that is a very good and important distinction.
So it's important to ask following questions, I think,
Mm-hmm.
at the teams. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Exactly. Let me add that too. Ask follow-up and clarifying questions. Yeah, very good. And then Luca, I want to add what you said about help team select the right tools for them. Okay, excellent.
Yeah. Barbara,
Good.
just one
Go ahead.
note, just one notice. Uh, I'm managing collaboration process for almost 10 years now here in my country. And I found out. So usually I text all my team about current process and what is happening, when they will receive their tools and so on. But as I call each of them privately, talking about the process and what should they do, what I will do, I find out that they don't really carefully read what I write.
Mm,
So to fully understand what they see, how they see the whole situation, you should speak privately, just
mm,
one by one.
yeah, yeah. Right, because we see it in this space here. There is not a lot. I mean, yes, there is a lot of at stake. Like, this is an important conversation, but there is not a lot of, there's not like something at stake that is risking your career or you making a mistake. Here, it's very safe. Nobody makes a mistake. The only thing that is at stake is our ego, right? Saying something that wasn't
Yeah.
that smart. That's what we're afraid of. That's what everybody is literally afraid of all the time. But it's less a high stake. It's not I make a decision. So what you're saying is really to, it's so important to talk to people individually, taking away all the extra pressure of doing something in a group, but getting one-on-one feedback and talking to somebody one-on-one, really understanding what do they understand to make sure that they feel totally safe to talk and share more openly. Also, they might be able to admit, say, I didn't understand it, or here, or I have questions that people don't bring up in groups. Am I
Yeah.
understanding that right?
Yes.
Saying, yeah, excellent. And yeah, so here I'm also going to thumb this up because we already have it as talking in here. Discuss issues privately instead of criticizing them in front of others. It's similar, it's connected to that. Um, excellent. Okay, so what I would love to invite, because I've all asked you to do some homework, and this is, again, this is not about, this is actually not a group work, this is some individual work, but I invite you to go back to the homework that you sent to me and look at the situation because I've asked you, like, what was a time when somebody came and asked for help? And that's why I was asking specifically, what did they say? What did you say? And I invite you to go back and look at that homework. And first of all, I am curious, and I'm going to put a poll up again. Like, do you think you handled it consistently or brilliantly? Like, did you really set them up for success in your answers? And again, that's more it's more a self evaluation rather than for me. But I'm curious, as you're thinking of your homework, and I hope you have it, I have it available. Did you respond or behave in a way that would be more consistently or really brilliantly? Like, did you really set them up for success that in the future they're not going to come back? And I really invite you to think critically. This is the invitation. Did you really do it brilliantly or did you do it consistently? And you might be better off if you did it consistently and now you're like, oh shit, I know exactly what to do it brilliantly. That's actually the better position to be than being like, "Ah, I did it great." Because it is very nuanced, right? And if you did it brilliantly, great. Congratulations. But this is not about, again, this is not about the performance. This is more about the opportunity to self-reflect and really think it through and give you an opportunity. Okay. All right. So 4 of you did it consistently. 3 of you did it brilliantly. Okay, good for you. Excellent, excellent. And still, what I want to do and spend a little bit of time, I want to give you some time to go back to your homework. And I'm going to share the screen of the Padlet so you see the additional answers that we also added. I'll give you 10 minutes to review your homework that you or like go back to your homework. It's not like really that you're reviewing it, but go back to the homework that you sent to me and look at the example. And in general, like when you get these requests in the way that you respond, based on what we've shared, what brilliant looks like, what might you do differently? How do you really set them up for success? That you really set clear expectations and outcomes, that you build the capabilities that allows them to perform and come up with good results also in the future, which ultimately is for them to come less to you with the same questions over and over again, because each and every one of you said you have at least 2 requests per week. And actually, sorry, it sounded like almost like you guys had requests. You get requests every day, right? You get requests all the time. It's the biggest time suck. And like the more they come to you asking for help, of course, that's your job. And can you set them up so they ask fewer and fewer questions because you truly set them up for success. You enable them to work more independently. So I'm gonna, does everybody still have their homework that they sent to me? Or can you come up in general, right? Like that, I want it to be a specific example so you don't have to put any thinking into it. So you have something ready to work with. But if you don't have it available, like like when somebody comes to you with a question and you're responding, are you responding in a way to really set them up for success in the way that we're defining what brilliantly looks like? And actually, let me post those 2 definitions too. Again, so we have them. So I'll give you 10 minutes for you to think your own example in the future. What would you do differently? And maybe it's just that if you already answered that you've done it brilliantly, there's still room for improvement because none of you is an associate director, right? So there is a way, like there is improvement, room for improvement for everybody. How can you set people up for success brilliantly based on what we've discussed? And this is not about you needing to share everything that you do differently, but I want to close it out by hearing like what are your biggest takeaways and your biggest learning from the session today? And if it is a very specific thing, like, oh, I realized that, and this is what I would do differently, I would love to hear that. But I want to make sure that we really hear from everybody because ultimately, what I said about in the beginning, right, it is about creating more awareness and being able to even make small changes to how you do things can have like a really big impact on the work that you do and how it is being perceived by your team and really setting yourself up for success and setting yourself up for the next step because the more you build capability within those around you, the more you free yourself up to do different work that you need time to do really well to move up the ladder. So I would love to hear like what is your biggest learning from today? What's your biggest aha? Or even like what is a specific thing that you're going to do differently moving forward?
No, I think I can start, Barbara. Uh,
Great.
in my case, as I wrote, I told my colleague several times, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll check this, but it's possible to tell him and to show him where he can find all the needed information to understand if it's possible to ship this equipment to a clinic.
Excellent. Good. Very good, Mikhail. I hope it's going to make your life easier. Ryan, go ahead.
Sorry, mine was a nice simple one. Like one of the other FSCs asked for some help in Service Max. You know, we did a team session and I walked him through the few problems that he was having. Could I have helped him develop his skills a little bit more, maybe develop a little bit of critical thinking, and maybe challenged him back and asked him what, well, how would you get through this? How would you fix this? What do you think the right answer is? I probably could have approached it differently and maybe got him to think a little bit more for himself, rather than giving him the answer, which was probably the quick way of resolving his problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So just a little, and I'm being a little nitpicky here because English is your first language. I invite you to, it's not about what you could have done better in the past. It's about what you will do differently in the future, right? So
Okay.
just because you use the language, well, that's what I could have done. I'm like, yeah, hindsight's 2020, but we're here to learn what are we doing
Great
differently
point.
in the future, right? So it's also that like slight change in language. So
Yeah,
because it's also not a knock of what you didn't do. It's really like we're learning something that now you can do differently.
absolutely.
And
So moving
that's
forward,
great.
I will do. Yeah,
Exactly, right? How does that
well,
feel? It also
yeah,
feels better. It feels better to be able to say,
absolutely.
like, I'm doing that forward, not like, oh, I should have done that in the past. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, great point. Yeah, absolutely.
we did all the great things in the past. We'll all be millionaires. None of us will be here. We're sitting on a boat drinking mojitos.
No, I take your point. No, that's great. A great perspective on that. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Great. Who else? Everybody is going to go.
Okay, so for me, it was what my biggest learning was or is that this exercise is actually something I should maybe do in the future too. So if something arises or arose, and I can after the fact I can write it down like we did in this exercise, and I can try to improve it. So yeah, so this is what I will do in the future too. So self improving, yeah.
Yeah. I love that, Daniel. I love that. That is about like taking the time to reflect and just take a moment and stop and pause and be like, oh, let me look at that. Is there a way that I can do differently? I love that. Um, and frankly, it's actually part of experiential learning theory. The part where we reflect on what we learn is where you really gain the gains. And that's where you make the learning sticky. Because even if I talk to you for an hour and I give you 100 brilliant insights, the learning curve is like you remember them 10 minutes after our call, and then life happens, and then tomorrow you will have forgotten everything. Because that's just how it works. It's not a reflection of an individual capability. It's true for all of us. And so it's a great point that you're bringing up, like in, integrating reflection in our day and what can we do differently? Like that is a real skill. So I love that you brought that up. I love that. I love that. And Ryan, actually coming back to you quickly, one thing that I loved about what you said is you recognized how giving the person the answer is the quick way, and that is very tempting to do in the moment. And you also recognize, but actually, if I take the time, even though it's going to take me a little bit longer the first time around, it's an investment in your time and the other person's capability. And while it's taking longer the first or the second or the third time, the fifth, the sixth, seventh, and the hundredth time, it's going to improve things in the long run, and recognizing that is really great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Who else? What are you taking away? What are you doing differently?
I don't know in my case if I think I do that again because I think to clarify the boundaries, what we can do and not do, and also to be collaborative with the other teams. But to be sure, we can work in this section I don't go out. And
Mm.
I think I propose again this aspect because it's always we need to give a good evaluation of the aspect of the job, our boundaries.
Mm.
Uh, I don't know if you have read my homework, if I stay in this discussion.
It was long.
Yes,
You gave me a lot of detail. Yes.
it was in vacation and copy and paste everything.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think to stay in this in our point we have discussed before, and that's it.
Which point specifically do you mean that we discussed before? We've discussed a lot of things. Which one do you mean?
To clarify the boundaries.
Okay, to clarify
Second
boundaries.
point.
Yes, yes, yes. Give people clear expectations. Here is what you can decide. Here is, yes. Okay, great.
Yes.
Excellent. Yes. Thank you. Good. Rory, you had your muted.
Yeah, I can go. Yeah. I would say I take two things from this workshop. If I look back to what I wrote in the homework, one I think is to block some time just to think a little bit, right? Because I think it's do some kind of self-reflection, and then some strategic thinking about if it's for the week, for the month, whatever. And the second thing, based on the question, so what I would do differently from what I have wrote in my homework, I would say that I think it's the delegation and the sharing more knowledge to have a more oil team working and also to prepare for the future, right? Because this is what we're doing here. I would say that I probably I'm going to start to not only ask for clear expectation from a specific conversation, but also share my own expectations. Like when someone come to me with a problem, say so. What I would like from this conversation, from what I'm going to share with you, is that you get this knowledge and start applying it for this task and that task or whatever is the situation, because I think it sets a clarity not only from myself but for the other person for what should be, because sometimes I have a team that no one is a native English speaker. So I think this kind of, pause, even if in the beginning or in the end of the conversation, and just look at this short resume of what I expect from this from you and ask what you expect from me either. I think this is a very good exercise that can bring a lot of benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And it also brings the benefit of getting to know people even better in terms of like not what do you like, what do you don't like, but like how they think. And that is going to give you a lot of information of where also they might need more support or where are they already strong that you didn't even realize because now that they're being more invited into the conversation, learning about your expectations, but also learning more about how they see it and think about it is going to give you a lot of information um to help them develop. Yeah, I love that. That's great. Excellent. Nicola.
Yes, maybe it is a little bit the same for me. I'm always on job to drive project to anticipating some problem with an installation with the customer. But sometimes maybe I need to step back and see what's happened and why what is the point of view of my colleague of not totally stay on the starting point and then yes.
Okay. Excellent. Very good. Who else? Joao, Israfil, Lorik. What are you taking away? What are you going to do differently?
From my side, just I realized that leadership is not always about providing the answer. So in my homework, I think we manage very good. But what I do differently, maybe share with my team, whole team, like a best practice, what we did, and the colleagues, I mean, respond how um, about the situations in the field. So maybe we just share and give a space for the people in general to like a scenario, before they happen in the field. So yeah.
Excellent. Okay, I like that. To share a best practice, to give them an example of what good looks like, and then so they
Yeah,
can
like
work better on their own.
experience, yeah, sharing
Good.
experience,
Mhm.
yeah.
Excellent. Very good. Joao, you unmuted.
For me, it's a little thing, but makes a lot of sense. Sometimes I thought I don't have time to spend with these tasks, but I will start to think I need to invest time to, for example, to explain to my colleagues the better way to do something. It's not giving the right, only giving the right answer, but invest time in explaining, training, and everything. Sometimes it's not spending. It's like invest for collect the results in the future. It's a little mind changing, mentality changing, but I hope this bring results in the future.
Absolutely. I love that. Invest time. Don't spend like it's about an investment. It's not a cost, it's an
Yeah.
investment, right? Like it's like you said, like it's a spend, but it's really an investment. And yeah, excellent. And you're absolutely right. It is 100% like a different way, a different mindset. But I love that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Lorik, how about you?
I send you quite basic example. So of course there is maybe something small things to change, but I mean the example I gave you is that my colleague from the back office for the field service operations specialist told me that the customer call her and if I can call back the customer. So in my words, I said that I'm currently driving. So if you can share me the information by Teams, and so I can be informed before calling the customer back. And I called the customer back, asking him to doing some steps for me and check before schedule a visit. So it appears that it works. So it's not much different I can do here.
Yeah. And if you think about like any other requests in general, when people ask you for your support or for your help, right, that they need something from you, based on the conversation we've had, do you feel there's something that you would do differently to teach them something more or in the way that you would approach it rather than just doing it yourself?
Of course, if someone is also coming from the technical or can be also the sales, if I think that this is an information he can get by himself or herself, uh, I can give you uh, I can explain how to find this information on how to do it. So next time you will be able or she will be able to do it by herself.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so we are right at time. I want to make sure I let you go on time. Thank you very much for your participation. I'm gonna, like, I've already captured some of what we've captured, but based on what you've just shared on your last takeaways, I'm gonna capture that as well. I'm gonna share that so you have it also as an outcome and as a cheat sheet reference for like the next month and the homework. I'm gonna send you some homework. Homework is supposed to really like put this into practice and see, and we're gonna talk about how it's gonna go to see that there. Hopefully, you'll see some things shifting over the next month. So thank you so much for your time. I also you're gonna get a survey. I don't know quite yet how we're doing it, but you're gonna get a survey because I want to know what is valuable and what would you like to see so that we can structure also these sessions. I have some takeaways from my side, but I also would love to hear from you because I want to make sure the time that we spend together really brings the most to you and is most valuable. So I also will appreciate your feedback, but you're going to get a little survey on that. So thank you. Have a good rest of your day. I really appreciate your participation, and I also hope you see how you can learn from each other by really sharing what applies to you, that like something Rui says is applicable to somebody else, something shares like, oh, I didn't even think about that. How also it's really valuable to spend time with each other and learn from each other, because otherwise we can ask Copilot, they can give us all the information, right? That's not the point. Good. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Barbara.
you, and I'll see you
Thank you, guys.
See you
in
next
September.
month.
Thank you.
Thanks, team.
Bye,
Bye.
See you
everyone.
next time. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.